Everybody listen up. Here's what I need you to do. Listen. If you think you're at the podcast where my wife kicks the shit out of me for an hour, you're at the wrong spot. You need to skip and go find it. That's what you're looking for. This isn't it. This one's actually important. This one is actually fun. This is actually one that I like doing. These are the interviews. Can you already tell who's here? I know you can, but listen, it's time to put the cat out, let the dog in, pull the drapes, dim the lights, grab your favorite adult beverage, and sit back in your most comfortable chair possible because you're going to be here a while. Why? Because I have the diesel queen. Yeah, Melissa Petersman. Don't say Peterman. Don't say Peacerman. Don't say Peterson. No. She's combined all three words together, which makes it extremely difficult. Melissa, thanks for taking time with me today.
It's not my fault, okay? I didn't choose my last name, okay?
No, I'm still blaming you. There's no one else to blame you. Listen, you and I have
fair.
known.
Yeah, my dad is still alive, okay? You can still blame him.
I'm gonna call him up and go, dude, seriously, you couldn't have made this easier on the rest of us? You know, there's a legal way to change your name, buddy. So listen, you and I have known each other for, is it 5 years now? Is it about that long?
5, yeah.
I want to go back in time a little bit. We're just so you guys can I'm gonna set the stage for everybody. Then we'll go back and learn how Melissa got to where she's at in life, which is the important part of everything. But you and Briggs, the kid from genxtalks, and my wife, Mary, you guys all went to Oklahoma to film a video about 5 years ago. Do you remember that?
Yep, I do.
That was quite an interesting thing. Fist of Five did a video, and instead of hiring actors and other musicians and other things, they hired a professional crew. It looked like I was not there, you were, but that was interesting. Hiring or dragging in social media personalities to fill the roles of this music video. That for me, that was a very different thing. I hadn't heard of anybody doing that. Tell me what that was like when you showed up there.
I mean, I think it's a genius idea to hire a bunch of social media people that have big followings to help push your shit. I mean, it's genius on their part, but I mean, I thought it was a good experience. I had a good experience, and Mary is now like my second mom. So I like your wife a lot. She's really cool. So I thought it was a good experience. I thought it was unique. I have been a small town mechanic my entire life, so that was really interesting for me to like actually be even invited to that,
Yeah.
let alone be a part of that. That was the first thing I've ever done like that. So
Yeah, that for Briggs too. I
it's
guess
cool.
he was 15 or 16 at the time, and he just couldn't believe he was. I mean, he told me, he goes, I'm sitting there with all these people, these creators, and I'm just like, these guys are, to him, you guys were big time. He was just sitting there in awe of everything. He really loved it too. All right. I want to back up. Let's back up and go back. You said you're a small town mechanic. Let's back up. Where were you born? What was it like in your upbringing? Mom and dad house? What town? How did this all get started? Where'd you go to school?
Well, I grew up, my parents were divorced, so I grew up and bounced back and forth between Walden, Colorado and Laramie, Wyoming. Walden, Colorado is a town of quite literally like 800 people. I think the
Wow.
current census is 600. Yeah, very, very small. And I actually lived outside of that in a town with a population of 20. So
Oh,
Rand, Colorado was technically where my house was. 8,200 feet of elevation was that whole county. But that was cool. And then obviously everybody knows where Laramie, Wyoming is. And my dad's a logger, still is a logger, and my mom's a water commissioner. So I kind of grew up around hard work.
yeah.
And when I was in high school, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to be a horse trainer or a mechanic and on diesels because I had an infatuation with semis. So I'm like, well, instead of going broke trying to train horses, I'm going to make money being a mechanic so I can own horses.
Where did you first
So,
start wrenching? Was it like on a farm situation with a tractor? Did you actually learn like hands-on in an FFA or school environment? Where'd you first get going?
well, my dad was a logger, so he ran his own business for a majority of my childhood. So that also meant that like he fixed all his own equipment and stuff like that, which when I was younger, I'm gonna be honest, I was not super into that. Like I'm like, this sucks.
Right.
This sucks. I'm digging pine needles out of a freaking harvester. This is not fun. And then in middle school, they offered welding classes as early as like sixth grade
Wow.
and or woodworking. And I took woodworking the first year and I fucking hated it. It was fucking stupid. I am a mistake maker. I'm a mistake maker. So I don't like that if you fuck up with the woodworking, you have to start all over. I learned that I like welding because if you fuck up, you can just weld shit back together, recut it, and you're good.
Yeah.
So I started welding in, I think it was seventh grade, or maybe it was the second semester of sixth grade. I don't remember which one, but all we had were arc welders and a torch. And then when I moved to Laramie, um, and when I was in Laramie, we had MIG welding and arc welding and a plasma cutter and things like that. So I pretty much did welding all the way through high school and middle school, and then I went to Wyotech for advanced diesel technology. So
Hmm.
it's kind of where that was.
Hey, before we go any further,
But
do you have a hard line? Because your video's really choppy, like your words aren't lining up with your voice. I don't know if you do or not, but
I
it's
mean my webcam is directly plugged into my PC,
right. But if your
if that's what
PC's
you're
on a
asking.
on a Wi-Fi on an internet, it's I think your Wi-Fi is really slow because it's coming through blocky. I don't know how it'll record, but a lot of times we hardline them in. We put an Ethernet cord in the back to help that out. I just wanted the interview to be smooth.
Yeah, I don't have an Ethernet cord.
Okay.
All I have is the Wi-Fi. I
Guess
have a
what I'm gonna
T-Mobile
send you?
like
I'm gonna
home
send you a
Wi-Fi.
I'm gonna send you an Ethernet cable.
I just ran into this issue yesterday because my fucking work laptop has decided that Wi-Fi doesn't exist at all. It's just decided that Wi-Fi doesn't exist.
Wow.
So I tried to have Diesel laptops fix it for me, and they can't because they can't remote into it because I can't hook to the internet. And I don't have a fucking Ethernet cord. So yeah, this is
All
the
right,
second
so it's
time in 2 days that I've needed an Ethernet.
see, that's what I'm telling you. Now, look, I'm going to get together a fund and we're going to get a little GoFundMe page. We're going to send you a box of
Go
Ethernet
fund me.
cables. All right, so you're in high school, you're learning welding. You took to that. You didn't like woodworking, but how did that? Now, I get not wanting to be interested in your dad's projects of keeping the business going as you're a kid and scraping pine needles. And I get that. Even if it's something you love, you don't like working for your parents. I didn't like it. My kids didn't like it. I understand that. But at some point, there had to be a crossover when you're like, you know what? I'm in high school. I'm welding. I've been doing some of that. Where did that switch come when you really got interested in it, in automotive?
So it actually came from hanging out with the Wyotech kids and helping them fix their stuff. And I'm like, I've always had an infatuation with diesels. My dad had a log truck that I loved, and he had a 2001 Dodge Cummins that I
Mm.
absolutely loved. So I've always loved diesels. But for some reason, like the pickup truck thing for actually working on it was not, well, at the time, Wyotech only offered automotive or diesel. There was no light duty diesel option. So I'm
Oh.
like, fuck it. I really like semis. So I started when I started working on my friends' vehicles and my ex's vehicle and things like that, and I just fell in love with it and I thought it was really cool and I really liked it. So I'm like, fuck it. I was gonna go for horse training, which is not gonna make me any fucking money anyways. So I may as well go do this. And that's what I did against
So,
my mother's wishes, but that's what
so
I did.
because I know you a little bit, because we've been friends a little bit, I know there's a conflict inside of you, a little bit. And I don't know if anybody else would ever even know to bring it up. So, on one hand, you love diesel, but on the other hand, you got a thing for square bodies.
Oh,
And
I do. I do. I
I
love those
know,
trucks so much.
I know. And
So
so
much. I used to own one.
that's a little bit of a conflict for you on what you want to
Yeah.
work on.
Well, there's a difference on what I want to work on and what I like to own. Okay,
Yeah.
when you're getting paid to work on things, it's much different than actually having to own it and deal with it every day. But I do love square body Chevys. I
Yeah.
do. I think that is one of the best body styles in that era. Like of all time.
Well, and
I
your
love it.
post from years ago, you used to post things on Instagram or stuff like you're driving by and you see one for sale and you're writing in there, I shouldn't stop. I shouldn't go over there. And the comments are the same way. I'm thinking, go get it. Just go buy that thing right now. If you can see it, it's yours. Go get that. I'm the one
Yep.
encouraging your bad behavior when it comes to square bodies.
I've had to personally regulate my Facebook Marketplace time because it's just full of shit that I want, and I just need to self-regulate on
Uh,
that. That particular video you're talking about was a truck that I drove past in Cheyenne, and I'm like, it was lifted and everything. I'm like, oh my God, I want it. I'm taking it home.
well,
And
so
everybody's like, why didn't you go buy it? I'm like, you guys are all bad influences.
yeah.
Okay. All of you are bad influences.
Well, it's not our
Do you
money.
see the shit box I currently own? That's
Yeah.
why.
I imagine if I showed up on your property, there's probably a line of projects that you're hoping no one notices.
I've got my maroon truck, which was the diesel that I drove for years. That's blown up. That's in line for work. And then I have a 83 I don't remember if it was a W or a D250 Dodge
Hmm.
Power Wagon or Power Ram. I don't fucking remember, but that's
Yeah.
in Wyoming right now. And I had to sell my square body because it was
Oh,
not going to. It was a rust bucket, which in Wyoming is whatever, but here that would have lasted like 2 months and it would have been disintegrated on the ground. So
so
I had to sell that.
what was your first job? So you're in Wyotech, you're getting interested in what everybody's doing, you're helping everybody out, your interest is really growing, but now you're actually knowledgeable. Now you're actually getting somewhere where you can do some things. What was your first automotive job ever that you got paid for? I don't mean a side job. You can tell me about a side job if you want, but
Yeah.
your first clock in paycheck job.
So before I even graduated Wyotech, I had a job through an international dealership in Denver. And that's where I worked for the first like 4 months of my career was McCandless International. And then they for some reason were not getting very much work. And I just bought a house, so I could not afford like 20-hour paychecks
Mm,
because me and the other kid were the ones that were getting docked because we were the new kids. So we
right.
were getting docked hours because we were the new people. And guys. And so yeah,
It's
I ended up at
like
John
having
Deere after
kids.
that. It is. Diesel, leave the cat alone.
Wait a minute. Your dog's name is Diesel?
Of course it is. Huh. Hello. Come here. Come here. Come say hi. Come here.
Oh,
Come here.
begrudgingly coming over. He's like, I'm here, Mom. What do you want?
That is a Jimmy John's bag. Where did you get this?
Did you?
He's such a butthead.
Well, he wants your attention. All right. So, look,
He
you're in the shop.
does.
You got your first job. You said you moved over to John Deere. At your first job, how hard was it for you to get in there and get guys to take you seriously? Because you're a girl, and I know
Not
what that would.
hard.
It wasn't?
No. People don't understand the cultural difference of that area. I think I thought it was normal, but I've learned since I've moved to Indiana and been around a little bit more that it's kind of a cultural difference. I didn't really have an issue with guys in the shop treating me like not taking me seriously. I never really had an issue with that. It's a cultural thing though, of the Wyoming, Colorado, Montana areas. I mean, all the girls grow up
Yeah,
on ranches. They all, they all drive trucks. They all help on the ranches.
I get
So
that.
as much as female mechanics are not as common, or not, they're not like common per se. Women doing manual labor
Not
is
shocking
like
at all, right?
a
Yeah,
normality. So
yeah.
that's, nobody gave a fuck as long as I showed up and I tried hard. Like
That
no one cared that I was a girl.
I would have never thought that because where I grew up, all the years I worked in Southern California, Las Vegas, I think I've run into two female mechanics and they were treated differently, badly. Like you, almost like the guys in the shop didn't want them to succeed. They wouldn't help. They
Yeah,
would.
but you're old. That's like old people generation.
Well, I wasn't that way, young
What
lady.
was that, like 40 years ago?
It was a bit, yeah. It was back in, as they say, back in the day. I mean, we weren't working
Back
on
in my
dinosaurs.
day.
We weren't working
Back
on
in
Fred
my
Flintstone
day.
stuff. We were working on cars. But if a guy went out to push a car to dealership into the shop, other guys would just run out and four or five guys help you push a car. Girls would go to
Yeah.
push the car. Nobody would go help them. Nobody help them lift
Hmm.
anything. Everybody get mad and say, "Well, you wanted to be a mechanic," and I'm like, "Dude, we all need help as guys
Yeah.
sometimes pushing and lifting. Why I didn't run into, I think, like I said, maybe two female mechanics in my entire life, but generally in the shop, most of the mechanics did not treat them very well and did not think that they could do the job from the beginning. I don't agree with that, but that you're right. It was a culture thing where I was. I can see where you were brought up that it would just be normal. Like, well, yeah, girls can bale hay, they can drive a stick shift. So if one's a mechanic, figures, so what?
Yeah.
Not so much where I grew up, or like you say, I'm sorry, the old days, back when it was rock,
Back
paper,
in
scissors.
my day.
But so that was where you and I caught up. I think you were still working when we first talked. You were working at John Deere.
Hmm.
Um, I got to tell you, I scrolled through those videos of you doing some of that stuff. I don't think half the people watching your channel knew how difficult some of the things you were doing. I don't think they got it. I don't think they comprehended it. I think they're just looking at, oh, look at the pretty girl who's getting all greasy working on stuff. And I'm like, holy shit, she's using an overhead crane to lift a head off. How fucking heavy is that? How heavy is that head?
I forgot you're an automotive guy. Yeah, our
Yeah.
heads are heavy. Our shit's heavy.
Yeah.
But that's why I think it's easier. That's why I think I think diesel and heavy equipment is easier than automotive because all the shit you guys work on is not designed you're like it's made to be lifted by hand. All
Yeah.
the shit we work on, nobody's going to be able to lift that shit. So it's
No.
all made to be used an overhead lifting device, which
Well,
makes everything a lot easier.
I like the thing that I think makes regular automotive, domestic automotive so difficult is it's not built for functionality ever. It's built
Yeah.
not to be serviced, not to be got to. Everything's crammed in there. The outside of the car, or the truck is where the design is. Everything else is like just fitted in there. And who cares
Yeah.
how difficult it is or how easy it breaks? It seems your guys is built beefy and accessible. Once you guys get the body and things pulled out of the way, all of your stuff way bigger, but it's there. You can get to stuff. We cannot get to
Yeah.
anything. I don't. No, it's I would love working on your stuff, except for I'm just not a diesel guy. I get how diesel works. I understand it, but I'm just not a. I don't know that I could diagnose diesel the way I can gasoline engines. I don't. I've done it before, but I'm not very good at it. When I had my own shop for years, if someone came in with a drivability diesel problem on automotive, of course, no one's bringing me an international harvester and going here, fix this. But the even the diesel automotive, I'd say take it to a guy that just does these. That just I just don't want. I don't know when it's acting a certain way. If I close the hood and I can hear a misfire, I could tell you probably what the three choices are on a gas engine, three most common things on that fuel. But when it's doing the same thing diesel, I'm like, I don't even want to begin to guess. For me, it's just foreign. I don't know if you feel that way about gas engines, but
I
for me,
do.
yeah, diesel was just another animal entirely.
I think gas stuff is harder. I think kind of the same thing. Like I understand the ignition system of a gasoline car and I understand the basics of it, but I don't, that's also kind of a foreign thing for me. For me, the diesel is easier, but that's because
Mm,
that's what I know.
yeah.
Like to me it is, but.
What was the toughest part about working on not for John Deere, but on John Deere stuff? What's every system has their flaws and their difficulties and things you wish they didn't do. When I was at dealerships, we were the same way. What's tough about John Deere? What do you disagree with on how their design is?
Well, I mean, it really is machine specific. And construction and agriculture are like basically two different companies,
Mm,
even though they're both John Deere. But I hated the extreme in-depth fucking shit of the electronics. I mean, one combine has like 42 controllers, 32
wow.
controllers on it.
On a
Like that's all the
combine.
yep,
Wow.
all the CAN bus systems and the LIN bus systems and between the CAN bus systems and all that shit. Like I got okay at electronic diagnostics, but it was never my strong suit.
Mm.
I I did not like they had lots of issues with their electronics too here and there, but it really is like I could go in for like an hour rant on what's wrong with John Deere stuff, but like it's very machine specific
Mm.
for things that like their excavators for the most part were really great, but and their loaders for the most part were really great. Their skid steers had issues for a lot of issues, and their graders were fairly good but had issues. So just like everything, everything's got its own problems.
Yeah, for sure on that.
So
Well, when you and I talked years ago, I think you were putting up, I know you were moving in the house, and you and I were talking you and I were on the phone at various times during turmoil in so many different areas of life, yours, mine, the Fist of Five stuff. And guess we've all come through that. But at the time I think you were you're not a shop. I want to say a shop. When I say a shop for you and I mean you're building an outbuilding on your property that's big enough where you can put a lift in it. I think you
mhm.
accomplished that and had some stuff going on, but you were still working for somebody. You weren't running a business out of it. That was kind of just your play area. Am I wrong on that? What'd you build?
No, that was in Cheyenne, on my property in Cheyenne, and I was still with my ex at that time, and we were that was actually right when we were breaking up, but we built a 40 by 60 by 14-foot high building
God,
for
that'd
a
be so
shop and
cool.
stuff. It was nice. It was nice, but we built it like we bought a building kit from Menards and we constructed it.
You
So.
just had somebody come in and pour the foundation, then you guys did the assembly, or did you hire someone to do it?
We did all of it. So we it was a pole barn, so
Uh,
you just have footers and we poured our own footers and everything. The only thing we didn't do was the concrete itself. But
wow.
we had our neighbor come over and I just traded the neighbor like some parts for his fucking backhoe for him to come over. He worked for Simon Contracting, so he just came over and helped us laser level our ground and compact it down
Far
so
out.
we could pour the concrete. Yeah.
Gives me hope. That's what we did. We finally moved out of California. I bought 2.5 acres in northern Nevada. I leased a house, which is where I'm at right now, while we build something. But I keep wanting to build the shop first, and Mary keeps wanting to build the house first. We're still arm wrestling over that. But when you got a little bit of land now, you're not in a track house. Now I'm thinking, all right, and I'm envisioning this big thing. And she walks up and she goes, "What are you looking at?" I'm going, "Look how big the shop's going to be." And she's like, "Absolutely not." But I said, "Look at where we live. Everybody's garages are bigger than their houses." And she's like, "I don't care." But that seems to be normal when you get into some rural areas. You get a bigger barn or a bigger shop than you do the house, square footage wise anyway. I don't know.
Well, if you think about it, most people are trying to park combines or tractors or semis or something in their fucking shop. So you got to have a lot of space for that.
Could you call Mary and tell her that Mark needs a place to park his combine and so the garage should be of ample size?
That is your war. Okay. So, all right. You know what you need to do? You need to just go buy something that's big. Go buy you like a deuce and a half or some shit and be like, yo, I need to be able to fit this in there. Like,
Yeah, what
I
do you
don't
want me to
know.
do?
It's gotta fit.
I
I
got to
don't know
get
what
it
to do.
inside. Yeah,
Yeah,
what am I?
exactly. And then I need to have room for my other stuff. So like, I mean, I have this vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's Melissa's advice.
if I do that, she's not going to be happy with you.
She'll probably come kill me and then kill you.
All right. So you were not working at a business out of that shop that you built. You were still working for somebody else, um, getting knee deep in John Deere stuff. Oh, you brought up the electronics. I want to ask you something. Um, I don't remember if you told me this years ago or someone else did that the new John Deere's, if you buy one, if anybody buys one, they don't own the computer or own the software. Even if you own it outright, you're still beholden to them to purchase updates and purchase program. Is that right or is that not right?
It's kind of right. So John Deere has gone through a world of hurt lately with the right to repair bullshit.
Yeah.
But you can buy, so the John Deere Diagnostic and Repair program is called Service Advisor. And technically, you as a customer, you can buy Service Advisor if you want to spend a ridiculous amount of money on it.
All
You
right.
can buy Service Advisor. The problem is that customer version of the Service Advisor does not just give you all of the John Deere updates for your controllers. There is stuff that it does not give you.
Wow. Why?
So, this is where I differ from some people's opinions.
All right.
I don't think Joe Smo should be able to plug into his fucking tractor and change a bunch of shit because there's a lot of shit that he could fuck up doing that
Well, that's true.
and make worse. Now, like normal program, like controller updates, I don't see why they couldn't have that and
Yeah.
why people can't do that. But as far as doing like some things like injector calibrations or after treatment calibrations,
Right.
or, this is the other thing is that people seem to think that dealerships can just plug into their machine and type in a couple numbers and raise the horsepower. Like they seem to just think we can do that, and we can't.
No.
Like we can't even do that unless John Deere sends us a file. So I don't know why you think you should be able to do it because we can't do it.
The other one is don't you love it when they say just plug it in your scanner and tell me what's wrong? It's like
Yeah,
you just think a scanner is going to tell me exactly what's going on. You
yeah,
think I'm just going to plug this in and it's going to say, "Oh, you have a loose bolt behind the alternator." No, you can't.
yeah,
It gives you a direction. It gives you some very good clues on what's going on. Sometimes it'll give you a part failure, but a lot of it is going in and knowing what you're doing. No, no, just shut up and plug your scanner in and just tell me what's wrong with it. Then, like you said, you don't think that people should be able to go make changes like that, Joe Schmo, because they can fuck it up. They can cause more damage than they're doing good, but you can't stop them from grabbing a wrench. They can get under
yeah,
that hood and do the same thing. They can get under the hood of their John Deere and start moving stuff around and unbolting things and trying to figure stuff out. And guess what? It'll cause more damage if you don't know what you're doing. So I agree with you on that. I do. There's certain things that there should be a little warning going, are you sure you want to do this on all that? It's not what people think, that's for sure.
Well, people get mad because the service manuals will have like the service intervals,
Hmm.
and you'll get to certain things like a valve adjustment specifically, and it'll say no, C service or C dealer. It won't even give them
Doesn't give them the
the
specs,
the specs or the
procedure.
procedure for
Yeah.
it. But if you think about it, like that takes a lot of practice and a lot of time to get
Oh
that
yeah.
feel right. And that is critical engine components. If you fuck that up, you are going to have a problem. So
Yeah.
like I understand why John Deere's like, nah, we're not gonna give people the we're gonna make them go to the dealership
I get that
for the
too.
valve adjustment or something like that.
Now, not that I stalk your pages and I know about your love of square bodies. Not that I've stalked your pages, but I'm going to give you a little piece of insight that I know about you. And you're going to go, how the fuck does this guy know this shit? You are absolutely anal about your valve adjustments. I have
I've
never,
made a lot of videos about that.
never
So
seen anybody who double, triple, quadruple checks their own valve adjustment the way you do. You are like, it's not going in until I'm comfortable. I imagine you waking up at 2 in the morning and going, no, I'm doing it again tomorrow. I'm checking one more time. Gonna check it again.
okay, but to be real, there has been so many times where I'm at home, I'm like, did I tighten that? Oh my fuck. Did I do that? And it will keep me up all fucking night, and I have to go into work and check it the next day immediately, or it'll drive me nuts.
I've
I
done
think
that.
I may have a little tism. I think I got a little bit of the tism. So it's fine. But well,
No,
on new engines, especially, like you would be surprised how many engines, like complete engines, come from these manufacturers, and their valves are not consistent.
no, but they tell you they're ready to drop in, don't they?
Well, yeah, they're called like drop-in or complete engines, but
Yeah.
I rip the valve cover off and I do the valves.
Yeah, and in automotive, that's called we get them called 10 to 10, valve cover to oil pan, and
Yeah.
we still pull off the valve cover. Like, no, I'll just check it myself, thanks. And I'm sure it's more critical on yours. You deal in much higher compression than we do by a
Yeah.
lot. So
Well, you guys also have like a lot of your engines have hydraulic lifters that aren't adjustable anyways.
yeah. Yeah. Some of you
So,
just run down. Some of you just run down to the stop on it and let it go.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's still some high end stuff to still use pucks. You got to change the pucks out on them. You can't even just use a feeler gauge and a screwdriver and a wrench. Some of them, they're puck
Yeah.
replacement. It just, I don't like the design, but if you once you learn it, you can get there. You just got to take your time. But yeah, people don't give it the value it needs, but you do because you do it a lot. You very much. That's one of the. You could be having a sandwich and a soda. And I wouldn't surprise me if you yelled at the camera before you left, going, "Don't forget the valve adjustment," and walked off because you really pay attention to that a lot, which I'm glad about too. So just saying, I paid attention to that part of it. I've noticed it. All right, so where are we now? You working
Sorry,
for?
if I pause and I go quiet for some reason, every now and then I have to reset my Bluetooth on my headphones because it'll just like disconnect. So,
Okay, so hang on, hold on. GoFundMe for Ethernet and new headphones. Got it. Okay, just making sure we're on the same page. All right, so you're working for John Deere. You got a ton of certificates and a ton of classes under your belt. I mean, in the stuff that I've seen and read about, that I mean, you probably have over 100 classes and certificates with John Deere and other things. Do you take every class that comes by just for information? It seems like you're always saying yes to those.
I did everything. I did every training they offered. And even when John Deere went through a bunch of training changes and you had to redo a bunch of motherfucking classes, I still sat there and redid a bunch of them. So I'm also certified with cranes because Hanan Equipment was a crane, Grove and Manitowoc crane dealership as well. So I'm certified to inspect cranes. So that's cool. Got that. Got the Cummins certification for agriculture equipment and then a bunch of other capstones for the yellow side.
How much of that crosses over by equipment or even brand, make and model with the hydraulics? Are a lot of those the same? Do they use similar pumps? Not on the motors, but on the equipment side, not on the engine, but on the
Yeah,
it-
the hydraulic motors.
yeah.
They're all basically the same idea. So John Deere capstones would not transfer to CAT,
Hmm.
right? It's not the same certifications. Like we don't have ASE certifications in the heavy equipment world. Anybody that tells you they're an ASE certified heavy equipment technician is full of shit.
All right.
ASE is like semis and automotive. Equipment has their own, like every brand has their own certifications, and it's the same concept. Like you're allowed to do warranty work,
All
is
right.
basically what those certifications are for. And that like the same basic concepts can transfer over, right? Like hydrostatic systems versus hydraulic systems transfers, the way cylinders work, the way the boom regeneration works, the way the motors, like the actual physical components of the motors and the case drains and how all that stuff works is generally the same.
Gotcha.
But obviously every manufacturer has their own special like
Sure.
engineering bullshit that they think is great. So
Yeah. Proprietary. We're the only ones who have it.
yeah.
All right. So I just saw recently you've opened up your own place for you're finally out in the public on your own. Is that accurate? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so I opened it's a really, really small shop because I don't have the money to build a shop anymore. But so I'm renting like a really small shop, but I opened that shop like in February, maybe is when it
Hmm.
was. And that's just Petersman Diesel. So I've been doing like automotive diesel stuff, aftermarket stuff, normal, you know,
I s-
diagnostics of
I've
normal
seen you do some
problems.
of the repair stuff or the prevention stuff on the pump kits and things. Are you liking those, or you think those are dumb?
I mean, I run them on all my trucks. Specifically for Dodges, those are really important because Dodge's low side fuel pumps are trash.
Mm,
And if you're trying to run aftermarket injectors or an after or a tuner or anything on pretty much any truck, the stock low side is probably not going to suffice for the flow that you need. And it doesn't hurt to have extra filtration.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
the filtration and water separation is superior, especially for the older trucks. They're really good systems. I've also done like an oil pan and some diagnostic work on a 6.0, which was a horrible experience, but I got paid for it, so that was better. 6.0 Ford, that was not fun. And then I did a disaster prevention kit on a 6.7 Ford, which is for the CP4.
Yeah.
Basically, it makes sure that when you have a disco party with your CP4, which will happen because it's a trash ass design,
God,
it won't annihilate your injectors at the same time.
I
So
don't
it
understand
keeps it contained.
why once they realize they have a problem with that. And I don't care that they got 10 million on the shelf that they already bought and they need to keep selling them or putting them in for warranty. Once they know they have that kind of a catastrophic problem, why don't they change it? They have to be able to build something better, you
Dodge
know?
did. Dodge just put the CP3 back on them, which was the model, the same pump model prior to the CP4. Dodge did do that. They retrofitted under warranty a bunch of shit, and then they started retrofitting all of their newer engines with the
Oh.
CP3. Ford and Chevy were like, "Sorry guys, sucks
Yeah.
to be
No,
you.
they've already
My
paid.
bad."
They've already got 10 million of them on the shelf. They're like, "Well, what are we going to do with all these?" No, no,
Yeah.
we're still selling these. We're still passing when the shelves are empty, then we'll do something. But that doesn't seem right to me. That's just you're talking thousands of dollars of damage when they go bad. That's
Well, I mean, the
crazy.
CP4 is like a couple grand there alone.
Yep.
And depending on which injection system you have, the injectors are like anywhere from 250 to $500 a piece. A
Mm.
piece. And so if you have a Ford or a Chevy, that's fucking eight injectors.
Just in parts.
Yeah, and then you have to clean the fuel tank and you have to fucking clean the rail out or replace the rail. You got to do all the labor for that. It's fucking insane.
That's
That's
just
like that's a $10,000 failure. If that pump goes and it takes out the injectors with it, that's a $12,000 repair with the
wow.
labor.
And
So,
they just leave it. They're not going back and fixing it like right
I
now.
mean, they'll
They
fix it for you if it's under warranty, but if it explodes outside of warranty, they're like,
right.
sorry.
But why not do a recall right now and go, look, we're just going to swap stuff out right now before get everybody back in and just do it. That's
A
incredibly,
great question.
I don't know,
Dodge did.
something like that. How have you been in the last 5 years since we first started talking? How have you done with sponsorships? Have you ever run into some good ones, some bad ones you let go? I mean, what have you had people coming to you as a company and saying, hey, we want to align with you?
Pretty much all of the companies that I've worked for have been great. The only issue that I've had was with the last sponsorship on the engine that I had in my green truck or have in my green truck. I've ran into some issues with the machine work and the head work that was done on that engine for me. But it was free, so it's hard to bitch about it. But
Right.
and I still have an issue with that. Not a lot of people know this, but that engine is burning oil
Wow.
pretty
That's
bad,
from where?
actually.
Is it a,
I'm I'm pretty sure it's the valve seals
mm,
because it is drastically worse when it's cold and it's sat. And usually that means the oil has, seeped past those valve guides
right.
down into the piston and then it burns blue more at startup than it does. But I had issues with the head plugs as well. There's freeze plugs on the head and they're supposed to just be like the normal style, like tap in place with some bearing mount, right? Freeze plugs.
Right.
Well, somebody decided to be fancy about it and put tapped freeze plugs in there, like threaded freeze plugs, which I never understood the point of. I think it's stupid. I didn't even realize that was aftermarket until I started trying to find a fucking torque spec for that and I couldn't find it. Um, but they were leaking like a son of a bitch. And apparently, like it was leaking just enough to pool around those freeze plugs and evaporate into my valve cover and come out my breather pipe as gray sludge. It wasn't
Ah.
mixing with my oil, but it was like coming out of my valve cover breather as this nasty ass gray sludge. And I had no idea what it
I was
was
gonna say,
until I had to take it out to do the injectors.
I
And
was
I
gonna
looked,
say, how'd you figure that out? I mean, you'd have to be like, wait a second, hold on.
I had to do injectors because this is my fault. I cheaped out on the injector kit that I bought and that was a bad idea. So industrial injections like, yo, we'll take your injectors and we'll build them to our specification. And so I'm like, fuck yeah, like I'll do that. So I took the old injectors out and they like they took them and they did their thing, rebuilt them for me and sent me new delivery tubes and all that stuff. But while I had it out, you have to take the valve cover off and the rocker box out. And I'm looking at it and I'm looking at this engine and all them little, every single fucking freeze plug on the passenger side had a little tiny pool of coolant on it.
Wow.
Every single one of them. So I pulled them all out and I tried to reseal them. I had to Teflon tape the dog shit out of those to get them to seal. So it's the little things like that, and like he, the guy that sent me the engine, I don't think he was super confident in his machine work because he asked me to check like piston ring gap, which would be normal if you weren't aware, if you're not the one who did the machine work, but you did the machine work. You put the sleeves in there.
He has to
You
already
should
know.
know that
Yeah, he
that's
should know
good.
that.
Um, he asked me to verify that the crankshaft had little green plugs in there for the original oil galley things, and I'm like,
Come on.
that's like
Come on.
it.
That's like, hey, I know I just gave you
You
this
did the
motor.
work.
Can you check the end play in my crank, please, after you get it?
I mean, I did check the crankshaft end play because none of that was assembled, but like it's just it worries me that like you did the machine work and you did all the work for this, and I'm rechecking your shit, and
Uh,
that's worries me. And then like he did a great job on the paint. The rods were a great idea. He sent me 12 valve rods for it. The pistons were really nice, but I just worry that
oh, so he
he
sent it to
fucked
you.
up.
Okay. So he sent it to you machined and ready to assemble, then is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
He sent me a builder kit,
Okay.
which is here's the head. So the head was bolted to the block, kind of, right? And everything was sort of bolted in there, was more like mocked up for shipping.
Right.
And then I assembled everything.
Okay. I got you now. Still,
But
there's, I just never wouldn't expect someone from a machine shop to send you a note that says, please double check my work.
well, I've never had that before. So the last time I had an engine machined was for my maroon truck, and that machine shop, like they took my pistons and my rings and they matched them for each cylinder, like machine matched each cylinder. And so that's kind of like I knew he was sleeving this engine to keep it stock, but I thought that he would at least check that. But he never actually assembled the pistons on the rings and then put them in the bores to check anything. And I
So,
didn't know that. I didn't know that until I'm like, I'm not a machine shop. I don't know. I don't have the shit to check this. Like, I don't, I mean, you can check rings with, I didn't have the tool. I did the best I could, but like, that's something that you should have done.
should have come with a dial indicator so you can check the bore taper as you go.
I do have a dial indicator, but, or, or you mean like the thing that screws out and checks the,
Yeah, it checks the so you can
yeah,
go to check the
yeah,
bore for the taper on that. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
I don't
that's
have one of
I
those.
would if I ever bump into you wherever you live or work, I'm gonna ask permission. I want to go through the toolbox. I want to see how many tools we cross over on between auto. I've got four toolboxes here, three in the garage and one in storage right now. But I'd really be interested in seeing how much stuff you've got. With all these years of experience, you have to have just accumulated, $300,000 in tools over the years. You got to be getting close to that by now.
I have a lot. I have that big red triple bay snap-on toolbox, and that is completely fucking full.
Yeah.
And then I have a double bay snap-on toolbox, which I bought both of them used. Okay, I'm not
Yep.
some like Snap-on person that sells my firstborn child for toolboxes. Um, that one is like half full. I actually originally bought that box to just be my home toolbox,
Hmm.
but now that I have everything at home, like I have both of them. And then I have two tool carts. One of them is like a small Blue Point one, and that one's full of like shop supplies and stuff. And then I have my big gray Matco one that I also bought used, and that one's plumb full of shit.
Well,
So
what am I coming up on? 59 years old. I think 3 more years and I'll have my Snap-on account paid off. So I get where you're coming from. It'd be better if I quit buying stuff and adding to the balance, but it's like, I don't know what's going on. That number at the bottom just keeps getting bigger. I don't know.
I just
Uh,
bought a ball joint press last week. That was painful.
yeah.
Yeah,
You got a strut spring compressor?
not yet.
I had to give so much shop stuff away. I had a big Brannick that bolted to the wall with the big wheel on it,
Mm.
and it just did everything so nicely. It's manual, not air operated, but it's beautiful, and those things back when I got it, they were like $1,800 for the big one 35 years ago. I had to give it away for like $100 bill because I couldn't
Ugh.
keep taking it with me. I just had
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so much
I
stuff.
have this like little spring compressor that's like this big
Yeah.
and it's got like little feet on it. But I've learned with doing the Challenger springs, we changed the springs out, the rear springs on that. Actually, we changed all the springs out. And that was even not super great because the front ones weren't too bad because that's a whole spring assembly, right?
Right.
With the
Yeah.
thing and that's like a whole assembly,
Right.
but it was still like it didn't work quite right and it was still kind of sketchy and I still had to do the zip tie thing. So like I'll sketchy mechanics know what the zip tie thing is
Yeah.
to keep them compressed. The back was the hardest, but I should have got a hydraulic. Like that is technically a hydraulic fucking compressor, but I wish I had something that was more caged and more secure
Yeah.
because I just felt like them fucking springs were gonna come out of there at any point. I'm like, I'd be better off just doing it the sketchy way at this point.
Well, when I got to that point of someone, I took these struts across the street to a buddy shop because he had a big Brannick one with the three wheel thing on the wall. And when I used his, I'm like, God, they're so adjustable and so simple. There's three big adjustable feet at the bottom. You can't lose this thing. Once it's in there, you can't lose it. And I'm like, I got to get one. I made it my mission to go save up a couple
Yeah,
bucks and go get one because having that on there, even though I didn't use it all the time, the moment you do, you're not worried about it getting away from you. When
yeah.
I was thinking of a story when I was growing up in the dealerships, I was probably 20 or 21, and this old boy was doing this strut. He got it done, reassembled, and he threw it.
Oh
And it,
no.
and it lands. And I go, "What'd you do that for?" He goes, "That's how I test it to make sure it's done right." I said, "Are you kidding me? That was this guy was like in his 50s when I was early 20s, and that was his test. He would
Oh,
assemble it and
that's
he'd throw it, and if it didn't explode, then he'd put it in the car." I go, "What? That's there's so many things wrong with that scenario, but that's what he did. I never took to that. I'm sorry, I'm not throwing it hoping it blows up. It's like, you know what? If
right.
because once it's in the car, it isn't going anywhere anyway. It can't explode once it's in there.
Yeah,
So if you've got it together, install it."
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's just asking for like knowing my luck, it would shoot out of there and like hit the fucking customer car.
Yeah.
And then I gotta fucking replace all the fenders and shit.
Yeah.
No thanks.
And
I
we're at a
choose life.
and we're at a dealership with they're all new cars. That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys had the same antics with the car dealerships. God, the automotive industry's got to be one of the worst things for politics in the dealership. It's got to be the worst for the scheming that everybody does to each other. I mean, maybe lawyers and Hollywood might be above automotive repair. But automotive's got to be way up there at the top for like you just seems like you're just working with a bunch of mischievous, devious assholes. Sales department hates the service department, parts departments in the middle hating everybody, and then mechanics are all if they're not plotting against you, all the mechanics at the big dealerships, they're playing jokes on each other all the fucking time. We did one where we'd take a bottle of coolant and we'd stab an air line. If you had an air blower that had a real thin nozzle on the end, we'd stab it into the coolant bottle and tie a rag around the handle so the air's always going. Plug an airline into it, put it under some guy's car he's working on, drag the airline across the shop, and then plug the other end in. And with the rag around the handle, that coolant bottle, I didn't know coolant bottles could be forced to expand about this big before they blew up like a shotgun and put coolant everywhere. All under the car, wherever the guy was, the guy would have a heart attack, fall back, hit his toolbox, and then the guy's reeling it in, you know, so he try to hide who did it. Not that it didn't leave a coolant trail, but that's the kind of shit that went on every week at a car dealership, doing stuff like that. I don't know if you guys had the same thing at your at John Deere at big dealerships, but the jokes, the practical jokes, were quite a bit.
I mean, we had lots of practical jokes, but like the difference with the heavy equipment world is a lot of it is not flat rate. 99% of your shops are not flat rate.
Really?
So I think flat rate is where the nastiness between techs comes, the nastiness between the different departments come. I mean, every single mechanic, when they see a salesman walk in, they're like, fuck, what do you want now? Right?
Right.
Like, what
Yep.
bullshit do you want me to pull out of my ass now? Right?
Exactly.
But like, it was not necessarily like a problem, right? Like, you're getting paid by the hour. If the salesman really wants a D series thumb on a fucking G series excavator, I guess we'll figure it out. I get paid by the hour or whatever. Fucking weld up new bosses and shit for it, whatever. But
Right.
like, it wasn't like the practical jokes were definitely a thing, but it was much more fun. Like, and it wasn't that big of a problem. Like, it was more like somebody's welding on a bucket and you take a hammer and smack the bucket and scare the shit out of them, right? It's more like that or cupcake frosting on their toolbox handles or something like
Yeah.
that. Or you
Oh,
take their toolbox and hang it up in the air with the crane. That was another good one.
I
It's
saw
called air jail.
this one's going to make you mad. It's going to make you cringe and it's going to make you mad. But there was, I worked in Victorville, Victor Valley Imports, and there was a Subaru mechanic that everybody hated. Older guy. We were all young kids there. He hated this guy. So one of my friends named Carlos was leaving. It's his last day. He'd loaded up most of his tools the day before, but he's cleaning up his last things. It was on a Friday and it was late. Everybody was gone. That most of the dealership was gone. He decided he hated this Subaru mechanic so much, which we all didn't like the guy. He went in and he took a drill to this guy's toolbox. He had a top and bottom 2-bay Cornwell toolbox, pretty new. And he drilled 85 holes in this toolbox and he screwed Zerk fittings into each hole.
And greased it, filled it with grease.
Filled the entire box until it was coming out of the hinges, was coming out of the drawer. I mean, just took the overhead grease
Yep.
gun until both of them ran dry. And I stood there going, "Oh my fucking Christ!" And he put the toolbox right back where it was, and this thing is just oozing grease. Man, I was there 2 hours early the next morning, and I'm doing my toolbox on, but I'm looking across the shop waiting for this guy to show up. He called the cops. He wanted to sue the guy. I mean, he was so mad. I think if he'd have been there, that guy, Subaru guy, would have killed him. Would have just killed him because the amount of damage. It wasn't just that guy had to clean his entire box and remove all the drawers and take it out back and steam clean the grease out of it, which he did. He had to clean every tool by hand and all of his electronics. Every piece of
Yep.
electronics that was in there was filled with grease. I'm sure most of that stuff was ruined.
Yep.
Anything that wasn't in a case.
The
That was
holes would have pissed me off the worst because you can't fill the holes back in.
No, no. He had to go. He had to bondo every one of those and sand them. He left it that way for years. He didn't repaint it, just filled it. But I mean, for years, even after I'd left that dealership, went back to see him, that toolbox in the corner was exactly the same. But yeah, that was a bad one. That was well. I'll tell you one we did that was funny. We had new dealerships that we worked. This is at Jim Marsh Mazda in Las Vegas, and PDIs. You bring the cars in for pre-delivery inspections, and it was what a guy had done is in the old days when there was distributors. If you think you had a coil or a problem in the distributor, there was a tool that Snap-on made that you could push a button and it would deliver a spark right to the center of the distributor. and it would just kind of throw out a spark the whole time. It would run like shit, but as the distributor was spinning and firing each spark plug wire, this tool you could manually drive it from the parking lot into your stall, but you just hold it down and it creates a constant spark. Not an on and off spark. Okay, well, we don't use that tool very often. Didn't even use it that much then, but when you had to have it, it really helped. But this guy took one of those tools and he ran a wire all the way along the piping on the wall at the dealership to the back of a guy's toolbox. And whenever the guy pulled in, he had all these Mazdas and all these different cars he was PDIing. But whenever he brought a Mazda Miata in and he'd pull in and he'd reach for his toolbox, this guy, eight stalls, would push the button and it would spark and hit this guy's hand like you wouldn't fuck it, like grabbing a coil wire.
Yeah.
Happened for months, and finally the guy, he knew something was going on. He rips the toolbox away from the wall, and the guy pulls the wire back down, so he ain't gonna see it. He pulls that wire back behind that pipe three stalls. And the kid didn't know, but he worked there for 2 years with this guy, always shocking him with Mazda Miatas, until the guy was rolling his toolbox out, and the new kid was rolling his toolbox in. And I heard him say, "You got to watch them Miatas. That static electricity get you on those Miatas." Never to this day knew that guy was just fucking with him for probably a year and a half. That's the kind of shit that goes on at the dealership level where I was at. They would hurt you. They wouldn't
Yeah.
let you off the hook. Or the one they did to me, I did this big service on a car, pulled it out when I was done, took me all day. I mean, big flat rate job. And some guy came and dripped oil
Yep.
right where I drove, and he goes, "Hey, you better check your drain plug on that." Because I looked like I was leaking oil the whole fucking way. God damn. That stuff
Yep.
keep you up at night.
Had that or the hammering on the back of it with a wrench when you start it up. Yeah. Had
Yeah.
that too.
Oh,
But usually, like, Melissa starts freaking the fuck out pretty fast, and they're like, "Hold on, wait, I was kidding, it's joking." I'm like, okay, because I was about to fucking panic and lose my fucking shit, and because they know when Melissa's about to get real mad, they're like, "All right, we should probably tell her we're fucking with
let
her."
her off the hook real quick. Hey, relax, calm down. Just
It's
kidding.
just me, it's fine. Damn it. Most of the practical jokes I fucking accidentally pulled on my fucking self, so
Yeah, I tell people it's like I fuck up my own shit enough. Don't make it
yeah.
worse. I do it to myself, please.
I ran over my phone and a fucking hot shot can. You know them hot shot cans that you can fill with hexane and then air it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran over my third hexane can and my phone with a grater one time. That was cool. My fucking lead tech at the time walked up to me and he's like, "Hey, do you need this?" And I'm like, "Oh, fuck.
Not anymore.
Well, not anymore. God damn it."
Let's
I was
back
constantly fucking shit up.
Yeah, let's back up and go to the social media side. I think it would be safe to say from 5 years ago when we were talking till now, um, I think there's a ton of social media stuff we still have creators still haven't figured out. I think there's been ups and downs with TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. When you first started, this is a question that I ask a lot because I get asked this a lot. When you first started, how did you deal with negative comments? Did they, at the beginning, did they bother you? Did you delete them? Did you try to respond? How did those things go?
In the beginning, I would try to respond to people, but like I'm a little bit different than most creators. As I mean, you probably have the same thing that I do is when you work in a shop full of people that shit talk all day, you have a lot thicker skin. So it's
Yeah.
a lot harder to irritate me or really get under my skin with something. But what the thing that irritates me the most is not the you shouldn't be working on anything, you don't know what you're doing, you intentionally put dirt on your face, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. It's the people that like act like they know what they're talking about and comment on my shit and it's fucking wrong. And it's like if you would have taken 5 seconds to just look this up, you sound like an idiot, by the way.
Yeah.
You sound fucking retarded. Like if you really, I like when I did that engine rebuild, all right? And I did the whole video of like putting the new bearings in the crankshaft and stuff like that. And somebody fucking commented because in the block, in the for the upper main caps, in the block part of that, I guess it's not the caps, just the upper main, like
Yeah.
saddles.
Sure.
There's two holes, and one of them, well, one of them doesn't go anywhere. It's plugged. The other one is or one of them is the oil hole, right? It gets oil to the
Right.
bearing. The other one is plugged on a 24 valve, and it has little green plugs in it. And when you put the bearing in, the one hole in the center will line up. That's your oil galley hole.
Hmm.
The other one does not line up with the hole very well. And that's how it's supposed to be. But everybody, like, I had so many comments like, are you gonna drill? Okay, get this. Are you gonna drill your main bearings out to match your holes? I'm like, a
What?
fucking what? A,
Sure. I'm just gonna throw
am I
them in the
gonna
vise, and
what?
I'm throwing them in the vise and grab my Milwaukee. I'll be right back.
Fucking shade tree, redneck fuck did you just tell me to do? And I'm like, I wasn't really sure what those holes were for. Like, to be honest, like, I wasn't 100% certain. I knew that they were oil holes and I knew that they were supposed to be plugged, but I wasn't 100% certain as to why. So when people started commenting on my shit, because I've rebuilt quite a few Cummins engines and they're all like that.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. There's a hole that lines up perfect and there's a hole that fucking doesn't. And it took me 5 seconds on Google to figure out that those are oil jet holes for the original piston cooling jets for the 12 valve. That is no longer in use because they switched to the J style up top underneath the piston.
Right.
That's what those are for. The reason the hole doesn't line up is because if you line that hole up perfectly for a piston cooling jet, that's all your oil pressure is just going to drop
I
because
was gonna
that's
ask.
not restricted enough.
Right.
So they designed that specifically to restrict that oil flow to give that pressure and so you don't for that piston cooling jet, but because they're not in use in the 24 valves, they're just blocked with little like plugs
Right.
because the J style that goes underneath like directly underneath the piston by the bottom of the liner in heavy duty, we call them liners, it'd be the parent bore.
Right.
In lighter duty, we switched to those. So they're plugged. I had so many people comment on that about how I had the wrong bearings because my holes don't line up, because this and that, because the machine shop sent me the wrong shit or whatever. It's like, actually, no, he sent me the right stuff. This is correct. Every engine I've ever built looks like this. For Cummins specifically,
Right.
every ISB Cummins looks like that. It took me 5 seconds on Google to figure that out, by the way, what that actual purpose was.
But even
Like,
if the comments bother you, they don't bother you. You look on Google and you can respond. It's in the beginning, it's still time consuming, and your emotions are in it because you're either trying to explain it or you're angry and tell them to shut up. I mean, early on,
yeah,
that it does drag you down a little bit just because you're in
it's
it.
irritating. It's
Yeah.
emotionally draining.
Briggs had a real hard time with that. You imagine being 15 and he gets comments that are negative, and it just
Hmm.
about killed him. The first 3 or 4 videos he did, the negative comments, it just made him want to stop because I don't want to do this
Yeah.
anymore. It was tough. It
Oh,
it
I'm so glad TikTok and Instagram wasn't a thing when I was 15.
been a whole different ball game for you. Got to get some maturity under your belt before those things hit.
Yeah, thank God, because that would have been the same thing. Because, I mean, when you're a teenager, you're super susceptible to people's opinions.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, and that was like I said, there was for Briggs with genxtalks, there was a lot of good and bad in the beginning. One of the big boosts was going out for that week in Oklahoma with all you guys because he did so much listening to everybody, and you guys were all, a lot of you guys were talking shop at the time, off, like you do. And he goes, I get it now. We're all in the same boat. He goes,
yeah,
there's some creators at the time had less followers and viewers than him, and a
I
lot
was
of
one of those.
a lot of them had more, but he goes, I'm
Yeah.
kind of right in the middle. He goes, and I'm really did a lot of listening. And Mary told me, Mary came back and said he did a lot of listening. He made friends with everybody, but he listened to everything they were saying. And it made him feel better that he goes, we're all in the same boat, Dad. He goes, we're all dealing with the same things about views and content, and you get strikes on your account and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we've all gone through the learning curves. We're kind of in a different boat. I don't know where you were at with TikTok when did you get affected negatively or positively when TikTok finally sold and got out from under most of its Chinese influence with those algorithms. Did you notice a
Negative.
change? Did it?
Well, I mean, I can't directly say that it's because it got sold, but I have been struggling with TikTok for years and years and years.
Us too.
I gained really fast for like the first what year I had TikTok, and then I've been like, it's nothing. And my significant other is the same way. He has 5 million followers, and he struggles to get views.
Yeah.
Explain that shit. Like I have 950,000 followers on my TikTok, and I struggle to get over 3,000 views.
That's the
Like,
way we got shadow banned. I don't know if you heard that story, but and I don't remember who it was. If you may know, one of the people that went on that video shoot with you guys in Oklahoma worked for TikTok or was a boyfriend or a husband or somebody. I mean, inside TikTok of America, like that was their job every day. They went and drove in and clocked in. We got banned. We got 100%. Our channel got banned, like one you don't come back from.
yeah,
And it was the Fist of Five crew that said, no, I know a guy who knows a guy who's part of this that was in there and got us unbanned from the inside
yeah,
legally. Like, didn't just go flip the switch, went in and said, no, you guys need, it was so far at the top in TikTok of North America that they got him unbanned. All right. So now we were very careful for like the next year. But then we got shadow banned. That same person or another person had called us and said, I work inside of the algorithm department at TikTok. They don't work there anymore. And he goes, I'm a fan of your show. I'm a fan of your program, but I'm letting you know I'm watching what's going on. And there is a ban, a program, an algorithm on your account. And I said, can you do anything about it? He goes, no. He goes, this is just part of their security. Once it clicks over to that, it stays there. He goes, sometimes it's on a timer and it'll get lifted, but yours isn't. We stayed that way, getting 1,000 views, and we got 1.1 million followers
yep,
on TikTok. We stayed that way for 2 years. And Briggs and Mary kept saying, why are we even posting? And I go, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I just don't want to quit. I want to be faithful to it. Let's just keep the content. So we did. We're making it anyway. Why not just put it up there? So we did. And when it got sold, we were one of the few accounts that began to go up. Now we're getting 10,000 views. Still nothing like what we were, but between 1 and 2,000 views for 2 years. Now
yeah.
with the new algorithm being gone and the restrictions being lifted and that ban being off of ours, we're now growing in. We're still, 3 to 4,000, but some of them are now getting 15, 18,
Yeah.
30,000. We're getting a few of those.
Which is still a kick in the fucking face for how many followers you have.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's still a kick in the fucking face.
Yeah.
Like that's what pisses me off with TikTok is there's no way that somebody with 1.1 million followers should be happy that they're getting 30,000 views.
Oh, I'm delighted though, because
Like,
they kept me in the basement for so long,
well, that's how all of us are. All of
Yeah.
us older creators are all struggling with the same fucking thing. And what I've noticed recently is I'm convinced, I don't know how true this is, but I'm convinced that if you don't run bullshit for TikTok Shop, they don't give a fuck about you
Really.
and they don't push your shit. I am pretty sure that they have started to, I don't know, this is speculation. I'm a conspiracy theorist, okay? I believe in Bigfoot and all of the government conspiracy theories, okay? But my conspiracy theorist brain thinks that they are only pushing people that push TikTok shop stuff. And everybody else that doesn't push TikTok shop is kind of like not necessarily shadow banned, but they're
Not pushed, yeah.
not pushed.
Well, I went to VidCon 2 years in a row, which was I hated it being down there because it was all kids. It's all young people. I mean, they were all 13 to 19 years old. The crowd, that's all
Yeah.
was just all young. But I'll tell you, one of the best things that happened was YouTube had a room set up for YouTube. It was like a booth, but it was a whole room. And they had a desk with three guys there. And one of the people that introduced us and got us in and says, well, that guy right there, he's the head guy of their entire algorithm department. And I forget his name right now. And he's been on many videos since as doing interviews as the top guy at YouTube. So quickly, I run over there because as a creator, you got questions, we very
Hmm.
specific questions. And I said, and there's nobody at this, there's not a line. There was three guys at this desk and they're all standing there at this counter. Nobody was in line talking to him at all.
People underestimate the fuck out of YouTube.
Yeah.
They
So
underestimate the fuck out of it.
I said, how long can I sit here and ask you questions? The guy goes, as long as you want. And I said, okay. And I had a ton. And I said, does it matter? Certain platforms matter. They always tell you post when your audience is live. Your
Yeah.
audience shows up at 6 o'clock at night. I said, okay, that seems to work with Instagram and stuff like that, but it doesn't seem to work with YouTube. He goes, it doesn't matter. And this is how he explained it to
Hmm.
me. He goes, imagine a customer sits down, he's going to browse on YouTube whenever, after dinner, after work. Now, we got that guy for 30 minutes. He's going to go through his shorts for 30 minutes. How many how many shorts can we show that guy in 30 minutes? And they have a number. They figure how many he'll scroll through in 30 minutes. Now, if that guy, let's say in 30 minutes, he's going to go through, let's say the number was 400, let's just say. He goes, but he follows 3,000 people. We can't get him to see if all 3,000 people he follows, everybody put up a new video that day. We can't show him all of them. So some people that he likes, he can't. He's not going to get to see him. We got to pick 400 of the people he likes in that time he's going to be on, and we'd like to introduce him to some new stuff too. I said,
Yep.
okay, well, there's my question. How do I be that guy? He goes, that comes down to interaction. He goes, if that guy on YouTube has interacted with, liked, made a comment or something, we're going to show those more to to your family of friends before everybody else. He goes, so
Hmm.
how do you get him to comment? He goes, make a video that begs someone to reply, to answer, and then you go back in and write a comment to his comment, and he comes back. He goes, there's not a better way to be at the front of the line than interacting with people in your comment section on YouTube.
On YouTube. Yeah.
On YouTube. And I was like, okay, I did not know that. He goes, it doesn't matter what time of day you post in the 24-hour cycle. We are going to do the same thing by putting that out there. Now, TikTok, I learned, was completely different. They were 100%. If they're going to cram 400 videos to a user, it's who just posted most recently. That's
Yeah.
what they use. They said, we will take, if you want to hit it, you want to be one of those 400, you better post when your guys are on. So know that algorithm. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was mission critical on TikTok, not
Yeah.
so much on YouTube. I learned those two things. Plus, YouTube, there was two conversations we had. He knew who our channel was for a reason, and I'll tell you what it was. It was kind of corny, but he goes with YouTube. He goes, we do not like reposts at all. And I said,
Yeah.
really?
I've noticed that.
He goes, I have written an algorithm myself that if you repost one of your videos, I will shut it down. I will not share it with anybody ever. I don't want to waste people's time. I got 400 videos to put in here. I'm not putting a repost in there. Those are his words. He's like, we don't. We want new, fresh, new content. I said, all right, fair enough. I said, he made a comment to me about our music because we get tons of comments on our shorts and our reels, like, because you guys always got the coolest music in the background. And
Hmm.
what always follows that? How do you get away with that? Now,
Hmm.
recently, they're more tolerant. If you go over a minute, they're like, we can't allow you to use this music on videos longer than a minute. Now
Yeah.
they've worked out some arrangement, but in the beginning, oh my God, it was a court martial offense. And the guy even asked me, he goes, our algorithms do not penalize you guys for your music. And I said, well, I know. And he goes, why? I said, I will never tell you, because if I tell you what I do differently, you'll make something that reads it and fucks with it. Now it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I can tell you. In fact, if I tell you, it doesn't matter anymore because everyone's allowed to use them under a minute now. And so
Yeah.
it's but back then he was like he asked me, he's like, fuck, if we figure this out, you're fucking done. What I did was I would take when I edit the song on there, I would put it at 104% speed. And you can change, you can slow down music or speed it up.
Yeah.
And I'd put it at 104%. And then their algorithm was looking for markers at a very specific beat and rhythm to match the copyright song. And ours was a little bit off at 104%. Ours didn't line up and they'd skip right over us. so we could have that music in the background. I just sped it up, you're the first person I've ever told in 5 years. I've never even told Mary or Briggs what I was doing because Briggs says, "How are we getting away with this?" I go, "I'm not telling you," because I knew Briggs would tell his friends.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
never said a word to anybody in 5 years, but that's how I did it back then. Was I just that to our ears, the song sounded normal.
Yeah.
It was in the background, but their algorithm was looking for specific markers and beats at times, and it didn't match. They skipped right over and said, "Oh, you guys are fine." But that's how I got away with it for them, and with the guy at VidCon at YouTube, and he was a great guy, tons of good information. But now things are changing again. Like, how are you doing on Instagram? How would you feel you're doing?
Crash.
What are you going to do to fix it, Melissa? Because I want to know. I don't know how to
I
fix
don't
it.
know what to do. So I did learn from one of my other creator women that you need to regularly check your account status because they will not tell you if you have derogatory marks on your account.
Right.
And you need to get that fixed. I've seen some people get their like marks on their account that have been on their account for years taken off because they finally fix it and they start getting views. Mine's not doing that. I don't know what is going on with my Instagram, but I have lost people. I've been slowly losing followers for years.
Mm.
And I figured out what my derogatory mark, that's not the right word, whatever my fucking wrong mark was
Yeah, your strike.
on my account. Yeah, I figured out what it was. It was my link in my bio. And I removed it and I gave it 2 weeks and nothing really, like, it went back into the green and nothing really changed. But the second I add that link back in there, then it gives me a bad mark on my account. And like, I think my views might slightly be better, but it's not something that's drastic. I don't know what's going on with Instagram. I do know that photos are doing much better than videos right now.
Well, we were doing, and I'll just say this out loud, we were doing about 900 to 1200 video or pictures, memes a
Mhm.
month. We were just posting them like crazy. Mary'd sit down and post 30, and I'd post another 20. And they were doing very well for 2 years. And then Instagram lost a big lawsuit, big money. And magically, the next month, they came out and said, "Oh, we're not counting views the same anymore." And our views went down 30%. And when I contact other creators, they're like, "Yeah, we're down." I'm sorry, not down 30%, down to 30%.
Mhm.
Our reels stayed the same, but the pictures are now, they want carousels, they want more reels. I didn't even know what a carousel was. They're like, "Yeah, we want carousels. We're gonna give you more views for carousels." I'm like, "What the fuck is a carousel?"
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Um, but Instagram's and Meta, Facebook was the same way with us. They did, this is the dumbest thing about Facebook I'd ever seen in my life. They would say, "You have a community guidelines violation." All right, what is it? Say, "Well, click this link," and it goes to 80 possible violations. Like, you
Yep.
figure it out. You figure out what you did wrong. And I'm like, we could not overcome that. How do you, what, we're supposed to know what we did wrong? You're saying we violated community guidelines, and all you're telling us is go read all the guidelines, and you figured out you violated one of them, asshole. Figure out what you did and don't do it again.
Yep.
And I was bewildered by that. Do you know how we finally got around it? I don't know if your Facebook is having problems, or if you're back where you're supposed to be with them with violations. They finally, this last year, they have a phone number. If you're verified, you can contact them through chat. They call you. And I was
Mhm.
like, "There's no way Facebook would really call you." And I was skeptical. In fact, when I was on the phone the first time, I go, "You're not Facebook. This is a scam." I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
it was real." And they walk you through it. Mary does it now. If we get a problem, she checks every day for violations first thing in the morning, and just to make sure we're clean. But if there is a problem, she gets on the chat, on the help chat with your verified chat, gets
Mhm.
them on the phone, and she will spend 6 hours, is how long it's been taking her, 5 or 6 hours. But she does eventually get them resolved. And it's like, that's a big switch from you guys just posting a link, go figure it out yourself,
Yep.
to we will call you. But that is a legitimate way to get it done. But you better be ready, Melissa. You better be ready to be on the phone for hours
Oh
talking with
yeah.
somebody, but they'll get it done. Um, she hasn't had to do that on Instagram, but she's done it on Facebook 3 times now for us. to get that stuff
Instagram
worked out.
is my harder thing because like I haven't really had any marks on my Facebook. I guess I haven't really looked. But as far as I know, I haven't had any mark on my Facebook, but my Instagram with that account status, like originally, like all it said that was wrong with my account was a fucking like looked like a screenshot of my fucking profile picture, my number of followers, and my bio. And I'm like, so I clicked review or like, review this. And then they still came back as, dumb, it's wrong. It's all wrong. Like, okay. So I go to the verified chat in Instagram and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with my profile? Can you please tell me? And she did the same thing on the phone. She's like, well, read the community guidelines. Bitch, I'm reading the fucking community guidelines. I don't see a goddamn thing wrong with anything that's listed in my fucking bio.
Yeah. Be more
And,
specific. That's all we're asking for. Be specific and give us the chance to fix it, but don't make us guess.
exactly.
We don't want to guess.
Exactly. I had to I deleted everything in my profile bio. That didn't work. So I'm like, okay, so I deleted all of the links in my bio in everything. And then finally it came a account status green. And I'm like, you could have just told me it was my link. You
Right.
could have just said it was your link tree.
Yeah.
You could have just told me that and I
Yep.
would have deleted it.
So on Instagram, I forget the dude's name who runs Instagram, but he has an Instagram page and he comes out all the time and says, here's what we're changing and here's why. It's actually very helpful what this guy says stuff. But I caught an interview with him where he said hashtags are dead on Instagram. He goes, quit using them.
They limit you now.
Yeah, to 5.
Hmm.
And he says, we may just take them out altogether because, like, as of this year, they're like, yeah, our algorithms don't even pay attention to them. I still use them, but they
Yeah.
say not to. But one thing I've learned, a guy told me this. He goes, try this on your Instagram and see if you get any noticeable improvement. And I did. Even on memes, even on regular picture posts, he goes, fill out everything you can. Fill out on each post you do reels, put a location, put out your 5 hashtag, well, write a description, put 5 hashtags. And he goes, and put people's names in there. I said, what do you mean? He goes, put names of specific things. Don't use it as a hashtag. The algorithm now skips hashtags and just looks for what you've written. If you wrote, yeah, I still love John Deere. It grabs the John Deere thing and says, hey, put this in the John Deere community. And I said, are you kidding me? He goes, in the description, you could just write people's names. You could write actors' names. You could write Robert De Niro and Will Smith or whatever you want. Meryl Streep in there. He goes, the algorithm takes a name way before a hashtag and it plugs it into what you're talking about. It thinks you're talking about this person in a conversation and it adds it to the algorithm in other areas where those are being conversated. Put your location down. But he goes, have you ever used the drop down menu? I go, no, not really. I write a description, I hashtag it, and I ship it. And he goes, go through as much of the tagging that you can. He goes, and if you spend more time in that on each one, so I started doing that on every single post. One thing I noticed, I get noticed at gas stations and Costco. People walk up and they're like, oh, one guy who I knew up here in this area says, all of a sudden 2 weeks ago, you're in my feed all the time now. He goes, you were still there once in a while, but now it's like spamming me with all of your new videos and all of your new stuff. Guess what? It
Yeah.
was right after I started that
Yeah.
in the local area. So I believe the guy. I believe what he told me is at least somewhat accurate. But you got to take the time to put in the description, put in some hashtags, and then put some random things you want to be associated with, and then fill everything out below it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I've learned on Instagram, other than they've cut the views down by 70%. They did do that. So
Facebook, I feel like has been cut too because I used to fucking do really, really good on Facebook and I was making like $1,000 a month on shit on Facebook. And now lately I'm lucky if I make $200. It's like
yeah,
YouTube is my favorite thing because even though I don't make a whole lot on YouTube, it's always consistent
I looked
for
up.
the most part.
People ask what you make on YouTube Shorts, and I go nothing. I go, we can put out 20 shorts on there a month, and I'll be lucky if we get $400 for all of them combined.
Mhm.
We just don't.
It's the long videos that you can put ads in.
Right. But I can't,
Yeah.
but for our content, for me to be in character as the Gen X dad, for him to be in character as a kid, we can't ramble like that for 8 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
no one's gonna watch that for 8 minutes. But I just looked up for fun the other day. We have one video, one short on YouTube that has just crossed 10 million views,
Hmm.
and it'll show lifetime views and lifetime earnings.
Yeah.
$201, and it's been up there for 5 years.
Yep. My shorts do okay, but it's more like just chump change that's getting added to the pot of, and I don't get like extreme views on my long videos, but the more ads you can put in your videos, like mid-roll ads and stuff, but honestly, even some of my 5 minute, like I know you have to have 8 minutes to have
Yeah.
the mid-roll, but even some of my shorter ones that are still posted in the longer form are have been doing good because they still put automatic ads in there. You just can't do your own mid-roll like
Oh,
selection
yeah.
thing. So those do okay as well. But yeah, the longer videos, I don't know if you know this, I'm sure you do, but the longer videos actually have a higher percentage that they pay you per views than the shorts do.
Yeah. But I'm
So,
jealous of you because your content, you could easily make conversation about what you're doing, for four or
well, I
5 or 6 minutes.
talk to myself all the time. So when I'm working on stuff, it's easy to talk to the camera because I talk to myself anyways.
Yeah. I'd almost call that cheating or brilliance, one of the two.
It's using my tism to make money. So,
Well, so do you still have brand deals with people? Are you still working with people right now?
so my brand deal I do, but it's shifted. So I still do have some sponsorships for brand deals and things like that for truck parts. I still work for Diesel Laptops. I've worked for them for 4 years, almost 4 years now. My contract with Hitachi did end, so I don't have Hitachi anymore, but I'm working on a potential deal with House, fuel treatment, but my a lot of the parts companies that I was using for sponsorship collaborations, I've now shifted and I am a dealer for their parts for my shop, which is another way for me to make money because I can buy things at, Jobber
Yeah,
or Jobber Plus and then sell them for map pricing. Um, and they all let me bypass. A lot of them have like the minimum requirement that you have to buy a certain amount of product to get into certain tiers.
right.
And because I had such a good working relationship with them, they're like, yeah, we'll just bypass that and we'll just give you the jobber title. And I'm like, fuck yeah, sweet. So it was worth it for
Yeah,
something other than just the parts. So now I can sell shit. Like I've sold quite a bit of air dog components. I've sold quite a bit of a couple fast systems. I've sold quite a bit of shit from industrial injection.
it helps. Yeah,
So D&J, I sold some stuff from them as well. So it's been helpful. Like for my shop especially because now like I have the ability to buy shit for you
yeah,
that is could potentially be cheaper than what you're going to find it for. Some
sure.
companies are super strict about you have to sell things at MAP pricing and some of them aren't. But like I also have I I'm a dealer for Mopar parts with a local Dodge
Wow.
dealership. Like and their markup is so ridiculous that I can cut people's pricing down quite a bit when I sell them parts from the dealership. So,
Well, I may
and it's
call
just the
you on some
working
Mopar stuff
relationship.
because, yeah, Mopar stuff, factory stuff is hugely expensive.
Dude, explain to me why a valve cover gasket with a little injector wiring harness is 800 and some dollars through the dealership. My price is like $640.
Wow. There was a Dave's Auto. I don't know if you ever run into him. He blew up on all the channels. Dave's Auto Center. He's out of Utah. Old guy.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen
He
him.
his machine shop. He must have $3 million of equipment in his machine shop. Absolutely top shelf stuff. He's held up a flimsy washer, and maybe I'm asking you about this. He goes, it's the thing's about this big. It's got crank pulley bolts in it and one crank center bolt hole, but it's flimsy. And he goes, and I think he said it was on a Dodge. He goes, on the newer Dodges, this has to go. It's a friction plate, washer between like the crank bolt and the balancer. He goes, and this thing's $400. I was like,
Oh
no
my
way.
God.
And he showed the receipt. He goes, look, he goes, he did the party. He showed the Dodge receipt. He goes,
Hmm.
for this flimsy little washer, but it's a friction washer. I guess it's got two sides to it so that the balancer, nothing vibrates the bolt loose. And I was like, oh my God. You know, the backyard me is like, guess what's getting Loctite and being reused? That thing.
Right,
I'm not doing it
right.
again.
Yeah, I usually, especially for electronics, Dodge hates aftermarket electronic components. It fucking hates it. They are so like the resistances that the controllers look for in
Uh,
all those components is so specific that like things like wheel speed sensors or anything like that, like you cannot run aftermarket or it will fuck up. Like it's not like it's just not the same. They say it's the same, but internally they're just that little bit of a difference. The
yeah.
controllers will know that.
God.
And like so I usually specifically with Mopar, I will buy Dodge sensors and everything
Just to
from
avoid the
Dodge.
hassle. I
But
got
I'd be
you.
goddamned if I'm gonna spend $800 on a motherfucking valve cover gasket. I'll go to industrial injection and buy theirs for 250. And I've never had an issue with that thing. Like so some things are honestly, if I didn't know what I do know about industrial injection and I didn't have a very good understanding on how they do their rebuilds and why their shit is more expensive, I would just buy all my injectors from Mopar
Mm,
because I'm terrified of cheap ass aftermarket Mopar
yeah,
injectors. Unless obviously you can't buy performance injectors from Mopar, but
sure.
like industrial injection is one of the very, very few companies out there that actually make sure that their shit is Bosch, that all their components are Bosch, that all their stuff is like actually
But see,
legit.
that's your experience, Melissa. I mean, that
Well, yeah,
stuff that takes decades. Yeah,
I've
making
bought so
mistakes.
many junk ass fucking injectors that I learned my lesson.
Well, that's experience where you're like, I used to be the same way when I was in the trade. I could walk in and tell you what brand aftermarket ignition don't buy, which to buy from experience. It's just what works and what doesn't. I was always worried of what you just said. I was so worried that controllers were going to get so dialed in that they would know by the resistance of the aftermarket component that they'd know it's not factory and it wasn't going to work. I was always worried that they were going to tighten those things up, like you said, wheel speed sensors and stuff. That anybody should be able to build a wheel speed sensor. It
So
just
that wheel speed sensor is a specific story on that 2015 Challenger.
God,
2015 Challenger, and we replaced the wheel speed sensor with an O'Reilly's one, and it had the exact same code. So I'm like, you know what? Possibly, maybe it's something. So we did swap Gnostics, and guess what? The fucking code followed to the other side with the brand new sensor. So like,
oh,
it's that sensor. We go to Mopar, buy the $160 goddamn wheel speed sensor, and put it in there, and not a problem since.
God damn it.
And that's a 2015. And actually, the 2005 Dodges are the fucking same. So it's not even like it's the 2024s that are having this issue.
No,
It's been this way since, like, I mean, shit, the fucking 2002, the second gen Dodge 24 valves, the throttle position sensors, those ones, if you don't
yeah.
get the right one, it's fucked up and it'll cause fucking issues. Like, and that's a 2000 and fucking
Well,
like 1990 or 1998 and a half to
okay.
2002.
Throttle position sensors, I've run into some of that over the years. Yeah, you just can't. I got that. But when you tell me it goes back over 10 years on a wheel speed sensor, I'm like, no, come on. I mean, I believe you, but Jesus Christ, I don't know. I can't, again, there has to be some allowances for aftermarket repair.
Well, I
There
don't
has to
know if
be.
that was intentional. I don't know for certain that was intentional. That may have just been the way the controllers were designed on that.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if that was particularly intentional
But
on Dodge's part.
it's coming eventually. You
Yeah,
know
I
stuff
do
like
know
this.
that they do shit like that with filters, right? Like, I mean, even look at the Fords, like the 60 Ford. Like, if you do not get the Motorcraft OEM fucking oil filter for that, it may not, like, I don't exactly know what the fuck is going on in there, but there's a huge problem with running aftermarket oil filters and having it fuck up shit
Is
because
it
it
a
doesn't fit quite right.
Oh, so do you think it's a back pressure issue? Is there a sensor that reads like flow that's helping
Well,
out with that
so
pressure?
you got to think on the Fords, on the 6.0, they have the high pressure oil system
Yeah.
that fires the injectors. So that there's something with that valving for
Mm,
that filter doesn't quite fit on there right and can cause a hard start if you have a wrong
wow.
filter. And I've seen this happen with John Deere that somebody replaces the air filter on, this was a loader specifically with the 13.5 in it, and the Napa air filters didn't actually seal in the housing correctly, and he
Mm.
blew up two engines because of
Whoa.
that. Because we didn't know the first engine he blew up was dusted, clearly dusted and blown up, but it was under warranty. So we're like, whatever. So threw a new engine in it. John Deere approved it, whatever. And then he blew up another one. And we're like, hold on. So John Deere is asking for all, because John Deere doesn't want to cover another engine,
Right.
another $75,000 engine that just for the engine. So they're looking at that, and turns out they found out that the Napa air filters don't quite seal the same as the John Deere air filters, and it was allowing air to get sucked in through the engine. And
Wow.
Napa is known to be a better option over the other parts stores. Like that's known to be a better option, and
Yeah.
it's still like, so I think I don't know if it's necessarily intentional, but it's starting to get to where like you gotta buy OEM on a lot of things. And if you're not buying OEM, you better make sure that that company is really building shit well.
Back when you were a kid, or maybe before you were born, we could swap computers. We could go down to the junkyard, and as long as you got year, make, model, engine size, same transmission with the same
Mhm.
options, you could take the computer out and plug it right in. And now, all the VIN numbers have to match inside of each
Yep.
computer. But back then, you go down to a parts house, and they had stacks of computers or where at junkyards, all with tags with what, year, make, model, air conditioning, power steering, whatever it was, rear ABS, and then they'd sell you the computer and you could change them back then. We're way past that now.
There's a reason why tuning companies make so much money. The
Yeah.
people that can get into that. But even then, like I've learned this over the last few years, doing research and stuff that deletes. So on most vehicles, on most trucks, if you're going to delete your aftermarket, your after treatment system, you can delete the after treatment. Um, some vehicles, it depends on the truck. You can either unplug the EGR or you have to fully delete it. Depends on the vehicle. But for the most part, all you have to do is have like maybe some bypass plugs, right? Or some unlock cables and then
Yeah.
a tune file. That's all you got to have. Well, if you're trying to delete a 2022 Cummins or newer, you are pretty much, unless you want a 0 horsepower tune, you have to pretty, which is basically just tuning it for the delete, right? It's not adding any power to it, is
Right.
what that means.
Right.
Unless you want that, you have to buy pretty much. There are some companies that claim that they can do this, but I don't trust it. For the most part, you have to buy an entire ECM with a tune file already loaded. And you want to know how much that is? That is $5,500 just for the controller and the tune. That's not including the delete pipes. That's not including the
Wow.
EGR delete kit. That's not including any of the labor. That is just the ECM with the tune file in it.
And you want to work on diesels.
I don't do deletes. I don't do deletes.
All right.
Technically, legally, in the eyes of the government, do not do
No, no.
deletes.
Of course not. You got to stay above board here.
I'm above that. I don't do
Ah.
that. I
All
don't do
right.
that.
So two questions, and we'll kind of start to wrap this up. Um, where would you like to see your social media a year from now? If you could change things, if you learn some stuff, what would you like to see your social media doing 1 year from now?
This is gonna sound super not creator of me, but I don't give a flying fuck about my social media if it's not making my business money.
All right. So,
So that's kind of the line that I've ran into is I appreciate social media for the sponsorships and stuff, but I'm trying to run a business. I want to have a successful business. this is going to sound not creator of me, but I don't want to have to even think about my social media in 5 years.
So if you could spin that in a direction that fed your business, you put in some effort there.
Yeah.
All right, I get that.
I'm
Now,
kind of over it, to be honest.
yeah, then I want to tell you that I have run into so many people that just don't care anymore. The novelty has worn off, and it's such a frustrating thing that, like, we don't care. And
Yeah.
I had someone tell me one time, was another creator that says this was their opinion, might be some truth to it. They said it's almost like platforms don't care about creators that have been here for 3, 4, 5 years. They don't
No, they
they don't
don't.
care. They don't cater. They don't answer questions. There's just this every year. There's new 13 to 16 year olds. Every year there's millions of new. They're focused on how do we get that new crop of kids? What's the new trend? What's the new help? What's the new thing? This is what a creator mentioned to me. He says it's almost like that's all they care about. They don't care. I mean, if you're a super creator like Mr. Beast or Joe Rogan, they care about those things, but that's such
Yeah.
a small amount at the top that all they're focusing on is the new harvest, the new
Yeah.
crop coming in. I got to say, sometimes I feel like that's true,
I
perhaps.
agree with that. And I like that kind of also comes down to my conspiracy theory on TikTok with the TikTok shop. Like, I don't like TikTok has just kind of become a platform that they just want people to buy shit from them. So that's really all they give a fuck about. And if you're not selling shit through TikTok shop, like I've seen so many creators that I follow that have just kind of started, like they've figured it out. And now every single post that they make is a TikTok shop thing. And I'm like, that's sad to me. Like that, like one of them specifically is a female mechanic that I really fucking respect and I love her. She is fucking awesome. And she has such a great skill and she builds some badass shit. And the fact that she has to resort to that to have a successful TikTok platform is sad because she has like TikTok should just see her and see her content and be like, this is a bad bitch. We're gonna put her at the top.
Yeah.
But nope, and it's so frustrating. Like TikTok doesn't give a fuck that she's one of the best truck builders in the industry. TikTok
Mhm.
doesn't care. And it's so frustrating because she really is.
Well, let me ask you a question. Now, I'm gonna phrase this between you and me. I'm going to say now, for those of people at home, Melissa, those out there not like you and I, who don't understand what doing a video specifically for TikTok Shop is all about, not me, of course. Of course, I know what you're talking about. Why don't you explain how a regular video versus making one for TikTok Shop is? But the behind the scenes is, I don't know, I wouldn't know how to make a video for a TikTok Shop. Don't you just click a button and now it's part of it? Or do you actually have to build a video promoting something? What is that?
So I've never tried because I refuse. But you know the videos that pop up on TikTok and they have a little orange TikTok shop link
Yeah.
attached to them? That's what those are. So when they go in and make their video, they're plugging that product through their video, and TikTok has made it that you can pretty much, as long as that product is part of TikTok Shop, you can plug it in videos. You don't even have to buy it. You can just plug it in videos
Do you have to
through their
show it?
little
Do you
thing.
got to hold it up and go, hey, buy? Do you have to include it in your video?
I don't think there's a regulation on that. I think you just tag the product and then
Oh,
like so most people do, obviously, right? Most people do.
right.
I refuse. I've boycotted. I refuse to buy or sell anything on fucking TikTok. I refuse. But probably part of my downfall. But that's like I think TikTok sees that, oh, you're promoting a TikTok shop product and they push you a lot more than they push anybody else. I thought about running like an experiment with that
Yeah.
and getting like there's only one thing on TikTok shop that I've really wanted and it's this fucking like flexible light, like mechanic light. And it's like a bright ass light, but it's a flexible tube that you can like stick down anywhere.
Oh,
And
like a
I thought about
boroscope type of
buying
thing,
one.
or no?
It's bigger. It's like a tube that's like that big and it's just a light.
Okay,
So it's not like a camera with a light. It's just for like lighting. I'll send you a fucking video.
gotcha.
Looks cool. I've refused to buy one because it's on TikTok and I refuse to support TikTok. But like I've thought about getting one and then making a video of it and seeing what my views do. And if they fucking skyrocket, then I know exactly what's happening.
Okay, well then this is where the dad in me comes out for you. Okay, set your little pettiness aside. Since your whole goal is to have your social media promoting your business, and you have an idea that something as an experiment that could make your business money, do it. Just try it once.
I
What if you're
fucking
right?
hate it. So it's
I know, but
petty. I am petty. I'm a woman. Okay.
you're caught between two of your own arguments, you know. You want to make money on have your social media promote your business and make money, but fuck TikTok, I'm not doing it. Okay, pick one.
No, don't make me pick. Okay. You have a wife of how many years? You should know better than to ask me to pick.
Well, I can't get any ground arguing with her. I figured I'd try you. I'm hitting a
Yeah. Good
brick wall with
luck.
you too. It's the same story. Well, listen, professionally, then I would say, where do you want to be in 5 years? How big do you want your diesel enterprise to be in 5 years? If you could have your own way, what would it look like to everybody?
I would make enough money that I never had to open a fucking social media app again. And I could just focus on my shop.
Just rent a bigger shop? We'd like to build something of your own.
I don't even care as long as it does what I need it to do. So I'd like to have a bigger shop with lifts and be able, I would love to be on par with the industrial injection shop and fast motorsports shop and pull and work like that. I'd love
Yeah.
to. But I mean, obviously I'm a one man team right now and I can only do so much with what I got, but um working on it, getting there.
Well, this is going to go out to a lot of people. YouTube, the video won't do so well, but it goes really well on our Spotify platforms. We get a
We
lot.
can collab on YouTube now.
We can?
I think
Far
you can
out.
collab. I know you can collab on shorts. I don't know about long videos,
Well, when I get
but
this edited and ready to go, I will call you first before we post that. But we get a lot of views on Spotify, way more than I ever thought these interviews would do. So, where are you? How can people reach you if they're out in your neck of the woods and they want to take something to you wherever you are? This is your chance to tell them right now.
so my social medias are all the Diesel Queen. Everything is verified. My TikTok's not verified, but I just wouldn't fuck with TikTok then. And then my business Facebook pages, I don't have a website, but I am on Google Maps. And my business has a Facebook and an Instagram page. They're also both verified. And that's
And
Petersman Diesel.
Petersman Diesel, they can look that
Yeah.
up and figure out there's like some way. I'm just making sure there's some way for people to get in touch with you. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I got a deal. How do I? They just would Google Petersman Diesel, and if they're close enough,
Yep.
there's a way to email you or call you or do something on that page, right?
So my business pops up on Google and Google Maps as a business.
Okay,
And it has my business email, it has like a description, it's got
good.
pictures on it, it's got my address and
There we
my
go.
I have an office phone number.
Good.
So
Well, you can give them that if you know that number. Just say it right now, and people can call you.
I'm gonna have to look it up. It's a new number.
Here we go. Okay.
I wasn't gonna give a bunch of followers my actual fucking phone number. I'm not that dumb.
Well, only people, right? But if you have a business number, people could
Yeah, I
call
have a
you.
business one.
Yeah. This
So
see this look right here when you're
yeah.
not prepared for that with you. This is the dad look. Should have had your phone
So
number ready.
my office number is 574-581-1998, and
There
I'm
you
in
go.
Chesterton, Indiana.
All right. So you guys, I already know Gen X Talks has a lot of fans in the area. I already know that. So all of you, I better hear from Melissa that over the next 6 months, you guys stop by and gave her some work because you guys are getting it done anyway. You guys have work you have to do anyway. Why not pay someone who
I'm
deserves it?
not scared of it either. I'll work on anything. I don't care how nasty it is. I don't care how
Good.
dirty it is. I don't care what's wrong with it. I'm not picky.
That's what I'm
Money's
saying.
money.
Just
I'll work on it.
get
So
after it. And don't forget when you show up at the front counter to greet those customers, just like put a little dirt on you,
I don't
remember?
have a counter.
Make it look
Yeah,
like
I
you know
gotta make it look like I'm working.
such bullshit when people say that to you.
I'm either too dirty or I'm not dirty enough. I'm either so dirty that I like intentionally put dirt on my face to look like I was doing something, or I'm too clean and I'm not actually. It's like I can't fucking win with you guys.
no,
Like I
that's just
can't win. I just stopped giving a fuck. Like
and they
whatever.
wonder why sometimes we hate social media. They wonder. Well, there you go. Now you
Yeah,
know
you
why.
you are why. You are the problem.
Melissa, thank you so much for I know you're so busy, taking time out of your day, taking an hour with us, and maybe let's do this again in 6 months, and we can catch up and see how things are going on both fronts.
I'm down.
Thank you very much for stopping by. All right, everybody out there in radio and TV land, did you catch this? Yeah, you thought Gen X Mom was going to beat me up for an hour. No. You got something way better than that. The interviews are really coming along. They're so much fun to do. We've been having good luck with great guests, just like we had Melissa on today, the Diesel Queen. You guys already know. If you're followers of us, you're probably followers of her. You already know she's been out there forever doing a good job. If you need something done and you're in the area, give her a call. Maybe she can work something out and help you guys. Listen, I'm not sure where you're listening in from around the planet, AM, FM, Sirius XM, or perhaps you're listening in on the Armed Service Radio Network. Remember 2 things in life. Number 1, wherever you go, well, there you are. And number 2, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. I'm out. I gotta go.